is a Bramble Jam podcast.
This week on Yo Gavel Gavel, if your tenant is using COVID as an excuse not to pay rent, should we talk about that? Hot Bench does.
And if you throw a comedy show by a pool and your guitar goes missing, is it a laughing matter? Judge Ross tells us, real people,
Real cases,
fake justice.
This is Yo Gavel Gavel.
Get those hands in the air. Clap them real good.
Drive the car.
Yo
Drive the
Gavel
car.
Gavel.
Drive the car.
Like you know we should.
10 and 2.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to Yo Gavel Gavel, a Bramble Jam Plus exclusive.
Bramble Jam Plus original.
We are talking about those courtroom shows that you know and love. I have a Judge Ross, one of
I've
my
got
faves.
a COVID downer hot bench.
Hot bench.
Hot bench.
3 judges for the price of 1.
Tanya, Patricia, Michael. Let's
Does
go.
it add anything?
Here's what here's the it's
Because
about
that would be my question. If someone came to pitch me that show,
Yeah.
I would say, why?
I love it when they dissent in the
dungeon,
deliberation, not in the dungeon. Dissent in the dungeon. I did see them.
Oh,
live.
good.
3 people died. I was so glad
Yeah.
to get out of there alive. Never
Yeah.
again dissent in the dungeon. They go back and they deliberate, and when they argue amongst themselves,
That's good.
because they all have like actual law degrees.
Right.
That is fun. When they all are in agreement and it's just they're taking turns. Just basically interrogating the people, and 2 of them are hard New Yorkers. It gets a little repetitive
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah.
So it could go either way for me with a hot
Well,
bench.
do we want to start high or start low?
Let's start low, and then it'll be all right.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. A COVID con artist,
yes.
you say,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. That was the title of the episode.
Love it.
Let me introduce you to, I don't know their first names, Mr. Mayandea and Miss Jan. They are married, and they sublease their these properties that they have through an app. I don't remember the name of the app. It's not like Airbnb.
Zillow or something, maybe?
It's a rental. They rent their apartments. They sublease their houses and condos. They have several properties, and they rent them through an app.
Great.
They rented to Mr. Montoya in 2019, August of 2019. There is no formal document lease. There is an app agreement.
So this is a long term. This
Yes.
isn't like Airbnb where it's short.
That's right.
This
No,
is-
it's a rental.
Yeah.
It's a house rental.
So like a Zillow
Yeah.
or something like that.
So he starts renting with his girlfriend Brandy in August of 2019.
How's Brandy doing?
She's, not around anymore, unfortunately
you
for
hate to
Mr.
see
Montoya.
that.
You feel like he's taking it on the chin a lot, but we'll see.
Like she's dead?
She's not dead. She just left him. They paid through December 2019, but then he basically said he couldn't afford the rent anymore. And
Heading into 2020.
heading into 2020 where everything went, went to crap, right? And so he couldn't afford the rent, and they said, hey, look, I got nowhere. He said, I got nowhere else to go. I can't afford the rent, but I'm going to get back on my feet. My girlfriend just left me. I do have a job. And they basically said, okay. And so they let him rent a different place from them.
And this happened before
COVID.
everything shut down.
That's right.
in
So he
March.
gets a new place in January.
Okay.
The girlfriend,
nice of
the
them.
girlfriend, very nice of them. The girlfriend has not left yet. I was wrong about that. Brandy moves out in March. Okay. So Montoya will tell you that this agreement was between his girlfriend, Brandy, and them, not him. And when she moved out in March, he was never paying the rent. He was paying her, and she was paying the rent. And when she moved out in March and COVID hit, it all went downhill.
Wait, so what does that mean? So was he splitting it with her?
Yes.
So he was giving her, half.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. We get back over to Mayandea and Jan, and they say, Mayandea does most of the talking. Miss Jan talks a little bit, but it's mostly Mayandea. He says, that's not accurate. They both signed the agreement on the app. Both of them did. Okay. And they didn't pay any money in January and March. They were back due on August to December. So in August, they were paying full. But towards the end of the year, they stopped being able to pay the full amount. They were paying partial amount.
What happened?
I don't know the answer to that question yet, but there's something that will happen in the future. But what happened in 19? They just stopped paying it regularly toward the end of 2019. And so they owed back money from 2019.
Even with an app agreement,
Yes.
that is
It's
a
binding.
contract.
It's binding.
So
Yes, it is.
do we have like the logistics of what they signed when they agreed?
We
within
don't have the
app?
logistics because it is a month-to-month situation. It's
Okay.
not a full board.
Okay,
lease.
it's month-to-month. Okay.
So he said the $2,100 that they had paid in January, February, and March, which didn't even cover 1 month's rent. The rent was supposed to be $2,100 a month. That was back pay for money that they had owed in 2019. So that caught them
On
up.
the other house.
That's right. That caught them up to date, but they had paid no rent January, February, March, which is over $5,000 in rent. Had not paid a dime of that money. Okay. Now, when Brandy moved out and they heard about his situation, they dropped his rent for him. They said, it's supposed to be over $2,000 a month. We're dropping it to $1,500 a month for you because Brandy moved out and you're in a tough spot. He said, thank you very much. Now, in March, the world shuts down.
And it's fine that Brandy left because it was month to month.
That's right.
So it's not like she
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Hasn't paid. He says he's paid rent January through March. They say he hasn't. He's paid back rent for 2019. There is a contention there, although the paperwork would suggest he paid it in 2009 that he owed money in 2019. And their papers are orderly. I promise you that.
I can believe it.
So in March, the whole world shuts down.
Yes.
And in that neighborhood, there is a moratorium on rent. No one is required to pay rent. Not required to pay it. You didn't, they haven't figured it out yet. Still, they haven't figured out how people are getting their money for rent.
Tricky, yeah.
So they say, okay, March hits. Did you pay him any rent? And he said, I did. I lost my job. But whenever I got some money, I would pay him $100 here, $100 there, what I could. I couldn't afford where I was living. And I told them that. But they kept telling me I could afford it. And I kept telling them I couldn't.
What does that mean?
And I finally moved out on September 20th. We'll get to that in a second. So Judge Tanya, who's doing the interrogation, says, hey, the state says you got to give the renters a break here. Were you making him pay you money? We understand he owes you January to March, but were you making him pay you rent? And Leonard is the guy's first name, Mondier, that guy. Leonard says, here's the deal. And they said, we have a text message that you sent saying, don't worry about the rent right now. And sure enough, there's a text message and it says, don't worry about the rent right now. Things are crazy. There are a lot of benefits you can apply for. Apply for these things, and that will help you get money, and then we'll worry about COVID rent later. It doesn't say anything about the January to March, right? It says moving forward. Now,
January to March is tricky.
that's right.
It's tricky
because it's over $5,000.
It's over $5,000, and it doesn't apply.
Yes.
Like it doesn't apply to the
right.
COVID situation.
Correct. Yes. So he did not apply for any benefits, and finally, Leonard's wife applies for him for the EDD benefits, employee benefits, unemployment benefits. Applies because he wasn't tech savvy. He didn't know how to operate. He's a little bit older, didn't know how to operate it. They did it for him. They successfully applied, and on August 5th, he received his unemployment card and received back pay from March all the way through August, $11,000 in unemployment, and then began to receive weekly unemployment checks beginning in August. Okay? So they say, hey, this sounds really nice, Mr. Montoya. Like, wasn't that nice of him? And he said, it was nice of him, but I think they did it to take advantage of me. And Tanya goes, you mean to tell me they got you $11,000 to take advantage of you? And he says, well, when he was helping me, he was there for me, but when they weren't, they weren't. That's all he says. So at this point, Leonard says, we got him $11,000 plus weekly benefits. As soon as he gets that, I text him and call him to say, hey, is there any amount of this that you can pay for the rent? And he doesn't answer my calls. He's ghosted me completely. I tried texting, I tried calling, and finally he had to file some paperwork, a TRO form or something, like a tenant's not answering or doing what he's supposed to do. So he shows up at the door and informs him he no longer has a parking spot out front, and he didn't say he needs to move out because it's COVID, but you don't have a parking spot out front. You got all this back pay for January through March. We know you have money. You're not paying us the money. At that point, we have a threat. Mr. Montoya says, you tow my car and see what happens. And Mr. Montoya says, I felt threatened. I felt it was a terrorist threat for you to tell me I don't have a parking spot anymore.
That defendant, what's his nationality?
He and his wife are both definitely people of color. Miss Yan is Asian. He is, don't know. But it is definitely in the ballpark for him to be Middle Eastern. And Montoya, it looks like he is Latin American of some descent. Montoya said it was a terrorist threat, right? And Tanya immediately says, telling someone that's your tenant you don't have a parking spot is not a terrorist threat. Then there's a video. They have a video of them outside talking about it. And basically,
Tanya filming?
No. It's
not Tanya.
The complex that they're in has a video, a security system video. So basically, Leonard is like, I'm tired of this. Like, I just need you to pay some money. Why can't you pay the rent? We got you $11,000 plus you're getting the benefits every week. And he says, I had other things to pay. And he says, so what you're telling me is the other things you had to pay are more important than the rent. And basically, Montoya says, yes.
This is all in the security system.
Yes.
This is good stuff.
Yes, it's good stuff. So then Leonard says, look, he received $11,000. We felt like, it's time for him to start paying. But he also we knew he was receiving unemployment every week. So then Patricia gets in and says, how much unemployment were you receiving? He says $167 a week. Child support takes $42 a week from that. He says, so you're receiving like $600 a month. And Montoya goes, I don't really get into the math. She goes, you don't get into the math? It's your money. What do you mean you don't get into the math? Like, you need to get into the math. Like, what's going on there? And he goes, yeah, I guess it was something like 600, whatever. She said, and you gave them no money. He goes, that's not true. I gave them 2,000 once, 1,000 another time. And they said, did he give you any money? They said, yes. He gave us $3,600 is what he did give us.
When?
During the time from...
So sometime between March and August?
Between August and September.
August and September, okay.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, so he did give some money after...
$3,600.
Okay.
But he said, I had all these other expenses. I spent $4,000 on my kids. They're twins. They're 17 years old. I was behind. I needed to get them things. That was very important to me. My aunt passed away. I helped with a burial, and I'm only getting $600 a month. At this point, Leonard says, that's a lie, Your Honor. And dude's
what's
like,
a
no,
lie?
That he's getting $600, only getting $600 a month.
Okay.
He goes, no, I'm getting $167 a week. I give 42. And Leonard says, he's not telling you that he's also getting the $600 a week unemployment benefit signed by the government in the CARES Act, which you should remember.
I remember.
And he was, in fact, getting $600 a week on top of his $167.
Wow.
So he's making, after child support, $7 and change a week. He's making $3,000 a month. Is what he's making.
Yeah.
So, they say, was this true, Mr. Montoya? He goes, yeah, but they shut that down. They said, yeah, they shut it down in like the fall and gave you $300 instead of $600. But we're talking about August. In August, you're still getting an extra $600 a week. Yes, I am getting $600 a week. So, at this point, they say, so where do you get this number 5,000? And they say, well, the money he owed us, we believe, like money he owed us currently is $12,600. He gave us $3,600. That's $9,000 left. The max we can sue at Hot Bench is $5,000, so we're asking for $5,000. So then they say,
can I pause you right? Because the $12,000, that's more than, because I was under the impression it was we were doing January to March.
That's right. So they have included some time in COVID. They have included the money he owed.
Because I was under the impression it was $5,000 January to March.
They've included the lesser amount through May, June, July, August, and September. May, June, July, August, and September, 5, and then they basically included like $7,500 from there. So because it was $1,500 a month. So the breakdown is $5,100 for the January to March, and then another $8,000 or whatever for the time afterwards. And basically they want the money, and they say, hey, we can't. They're like, you understand that we cannot tell you if giving money to his kids is more or less important than paying the rent. We can't do that. Like, this is not the time or place to do that. That's not our job to do it. And they're like, yeah, they were like, also, you understand he didn't have to pay rent. After March. So then they go to deliberate. And that's where we are.
What to me it sounds like. So he is giving them 36. January to March is 51. Is that correct? 5,100.
They don't ever split it up. They just say he owes over $5,000 from January to March. 12,600 was the total. He paid 3,600 down to 9,000.
I would say he owes the rest
1,400,
1,500, whatever it would be to get to January to March. You can't enforce.
Yeah.
Make him pay from March onward.
So Tanya says, I'm really uncomfortable with this. They all agree. We can't determine what's most important. However, they're basically the paperwork that was turned in. The court believes he still owes a full $5,000 from January to March. And that even though he paid some money along the way, the money he owes from January through March is over $5,000. And so they're going to award them the full amount on that money, which is $5,000. That is what they determine. It's a weird one.
I don't know how they get there.
I don't either, but we never get the exact.
I mean, unless what did they confirm that August to December was settled? Or did the 3,600 go towards that?
They determined that 2019 was paid in full. They did determine that. So the only thing I can figure is that from January to March, the rent on that place was way higher. Like it was like the 3,600 still left him with over 5,000 due from January to March. That's the only thing I can figure. But it was a mess, and there was a lot there, and it's tough.
At one point, didn't you say that it was supposed to be $2,000? They dropped it to $1,500.
There was yes. But that's not the first house. The 2019 house was more. I don't know how.
No,
much
I'm talking
more.
about the second place. I thought you said the second place was supposed to be 2,000. When she dropped out,
they moved it to 1,500. Which wasn't until COVID.
That's
right.
But they weren't paying. So
yeah,
it could be 6,000.
Yes, it could be 6,300.
But still, at that point, it's still less than 3,000. Like it's still
Hot
not
Bench
5.
gives them the full 5.
Okay, whatever.
There you have it.
I mean,
boy, we really dug deep there.
It is really, that the whole COVID apartment thing. It's super tricky for everybody because there are people that legitimately cannot pay rent. There's other people that can and won't, and then landlords, some who are good people, who want to do the right thing,
that's right,
are stuck in really difficult situations.
Tenant said the original house that they were in, that he got rid of, that he left because it was too expensive. They had to get rid of that property. They had to sell the property because they couldn't.
I can see that.
Rent it.
Is that still happening? Is the rent?
I think there's still a rent moratorium in some places. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to.
Did it happen in South Carolina?
I don't know. I think it did. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Who's to say?
You
want to go over to Judge Ross?
I would love to go to Judge
America's
Ross.
Courts.
Ross.
Thank you, David. I want to introduce you to Todd Carter. Todd Carter is suing A.J. Mercer for $2,000, which is the amount of a stolen guitar.
Fair enough.
So Dylan... Sorry, his name is Dylan. I don't know why I wrote Todd.
Todd and Dylan. I mean,
Oh, I know what happened. I was watching on YouTube. The very first part, it doesn't say his name. I didn't get the name Dylan until later. It was just Mr. Carter.
Yeah.
And so I wrote Todd as a filler.
Yeah, just for your reference.
I was going to go with Todd the whole time.
I don't understand why you would write a filler. You just write Carter. You need a first name to move on? Is that what you need?
I could have gone with Carter.
Yeah, you could have. Okay.
So Todd Dylan Carter basically was approached by his friend, who's also his roommate,
all right,
who's also his landlord.
Ooh, tricky.
So this person's
I was in
name,
a situation like that.
This person's name is Kelly. Don't know if it's a guy or a girl.
Okay,
whatever.
She's not. She or he's
not. Kelly's not here.
Okay,
but Kelly owns the house.
Okay,
and is subleasing it to Todd Dylan. Okay,
done and done.
So Kelly tells Dylan, "Hey, I have a buddy who threw out this idea of having a comedy show in the backyard by the pool."
Yeah, as you do. It's a classic comedy show.
It's a comedy show pool time.
Yeah.
Now Dylan, the house, it's a nice house, has a really nice pool in the back.
Okay.
And when AJ caught wind of this nice pool, his wheels started turning because AJ is a freelance photographer who likes to take pictures of comedy shows.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So AJ had this idea, like, how cool would it be to take pictures of this exclusive comedy show by a pool?
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. Cool. So AJ meets up with Dylan, pitches him the idea, and AJ is, says it sounds okay. Now AJ says,
Dylan's on board.
Dylan is on board, but until this point, AJ says Dylan was on board for the party, and Dylan says, no, I was not on board for a party.
Okay.
Dylan says, I want to make this very clear. I was pitched a comedy event. What happened was it turned into a full-fledged rager. With people walking in and out of my house, which was not agreed to.
And he rents the house.
With Kelly. Kelly's there.
Oh, Kelly's there. Okay.
Kelly's at the house.
Okay.
At the event.
The comedy event.
And Judge Ross is like, what's the difference between an event and a party?
Yeah.
And Dylan says, well, what happened was there was a DJ there that played music before.
How dare they?
And Dylan says, I was told that once the comedy was done, everyone would leave. And that's not what happened.
I don't understand. He wanted to do a hard-out comedy show.
Dylan wanted to have a very professional comedy event.
By the pool. Hard out.
With alcohol. He did agree to the alcohol.
Comedy's done. Stop drinking, go home.
Yes.
Don't stick around and drink more alcohol.
By the pool. That was the plan.
Don't swim.
Now, the good news is this event, this nice, classy event that Dylan wanted to have was only $5 to get into.
Okay.
So you know how all the classy comedy lovers love to go to those $5 comedy events, not parties.
The drinks weren't included, I assume?
Drinks were included, Dan.
Oh, my gosh.
AJ wanted to make sure that this was awesome, so he paid for the drinks.
He out of pocket.
We will get to the money here in just a second. We'll get to the money in just a second. So,
man, where are the pool comedy event open bars?
Dude, no
where are
kidding.
they? Come on.
So around 200 people show up to the party.
Okay.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Started going in and out of his house. He didn't like that. And Dylan claims that something happened that either A, allowed people to enter the event without paying, or B, AJ took more money. It was supposed to be a split.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. But remember, Dan, this is not about the money.
It's a guitar.
This is about the guitar, and we will get there, I promise. So AJ says, listen, I paid for all the drinks.
Yeah.
I tried to, get my money back for the drinks. Dylan's like, that's not what we agreed on. But again, not why we're here. So the day before the event, AJ says, hey, I have to drop off DJ equipment.
Okay.
And Kelly, Kelly gave him a key. Said, no problem. Here's a key. Go in there, leave it, and it's good to
go.
The day after the party, the event, Dylan and Kelly are out back cleaning everything up, working hard. And he's thinking to himself, man, where's AJ?
God.
Why isn't AJ here helping us clean up? AJ rolls up with his swim trunks on with more beer, ready to keep the event going.
Keep it going.
And Dylan says, I don't want to see your face here ever again. Sends him off. I'm going to clean all this up myself. A week later,
oh boy,
Dylan gets a text from AJ saying, hey, I still have the key. Can I swing by and get my DJ equipment?
Oh boy.
It was still there.
Yeah, it was.
So he's like, sure, I'm not here. He apparently works at a recording studio. So he's like, I'm in the studio, go by, get it, and then never talk to me again. So he goes, gets his stuff, leaves the key on the kitchen counter. Dylan gets in from a long day's work in the studio, sees the key and is like, thank God this is over, goes to bed. Wakes up the next morning for band practice.
Yeah, as you do.
And he goes down into his, what does he call this room? The jam room.
The jam room.
Go ahead. This is a mansion.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, big time.
The jam room. Goes on a jam room, and he goes and he turns on the lights.
Preserves and jellies.
And he reaches for his guitar, which is hanging by the light switch. And his guitar's nowhere to be found.
Oh, boy.
Now, here's a couple of things that we know about the guitar. One, it was seen at the party.
Okay.
Because Dylan's band played. Now, Ross doesn't say, I thought this was a comedy event, but my first thought was, Dylan, you're contributing to the problem.
That's right. Comedy event, not a rager.
Comedy event, not a rager. If you want it to be in a comedy event, you don't have your band play a quick 15-minute set.
Doesn't add up.
So his guitar was seen at the party, and he remembers AJ after the set. He gets off stage, and AJ's like, man, that's a nice guitar. I play too.
Yeah.
It's a great guitar. Comment on the guitar. The week following, Dylan had been working on some new songs, so he was playing his guitar. So he had seen it since the party. The last person in the house was AJ. AJ mentioned he liked the guitar. It must have been AJ. Now, you might say, that's not enough.
Not enough.
Well, what if I told you that there's a picture that appears on the internet a couple days later of AJ playing at a gig with a guitar that looks very similar to Dylan's guitar. Now, we see two pictures here. The first picture is of Dylan's guitar.
Okay.
The second is of AJ playing the gig. Now, this is what I will say about
You're a guitar guy.
This is what I will say about this. So this is not a straight ahead shot.
Okay.
He's kind of at an angle.
Okay.
And there are stage lights.
Okay.
Different colors.
Is it the same guitar?
It looks similar. It's close.
Okay.
It's, but
could it be the same guitar?
It could absolutely be the same guitar.
Is it a pretty generic guitar though?
No, it's a nice. It's got like a nice sunburst to it.
Okay.
It's a unique design.
Okay.
And you can kind of see the sunburst, but again, he's kind of at an angle. You can't exactly tell. It looks like a similar build, but you can't tell. And Judge Ross is ready to make his judgment.
Was there a police report filed?
No police report here.
No police report.
Not that we are.
Does AJ claim he didn't take it?
AJ claims that he did not take the guitar, and that you can get that guitar anywhere.
Okay.
You can get it at any guitar shop. I have lots of guitars. No big deal.
Man, this is tough.
And AJ doesn't say that it's not the same style either.
He just says,
his defense is you could get that guitar at any guitar shop.
Does he say I have a guitar just like it?
He doesn't say that. But when Judge Ross is like, did you take the guitar? He says, no, you could get that guitar, pointing at the picture of Dylan's, at any guitar shop.
But he never says I have one just like it.
He never says that he has one just like it, and he never says that, he just makes a point.
There's just not enough evidence. There's not enough proof here. The burden of proof is on the plaintiff, and it was not met. No money for Dylan.
Judge Ross agrees with you.
Yeah.
To do anything, you have to have at least 51% of the overwhelming evidence that it's on AJ. And he says, if I would go off my gut, I think AJ's a liar.
And he stole it. Yeah, I would too.
But I can't go off my gut in the courtroom. Kate dismissed.
Case dismissed. Kate, get out. Kate,
you're not welcome here anymore,
Enough, Kate. Enough.
I love the gavel. No, Kate.
Come on, one more
The episode's over. You're not even a Bramble Jam Plus subscriber.
Send me the link.
BrambleJamPlus.com. You know it.
Oh, I need my tablet.
Get your tablet on the way out.
Okay.
We collect the devices.
Kate dismissed. That's the key for us.
If we don't want any things. We did it, everybody.
Did it.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for your support. We'll be back next week with another Back to Bayside. And then guess what? Another gavel after that. Until then.
All rise.
All rise.
Yo Gavel Gavel's a Bramble Jam podcast recorded live in Greenville, South Carolina at the Bramble Jam Podcast Network Studios. It's produced by Brandon Gray. For more information, you can go to bramblejampodcast.com/gavel.